Imagine two people who are both terrified of getting too close, and they fall for each other. No fights, no drama, just silence. And somehow that silence feels like love. When two avoidants end up together, it doesn't look broken from the outside. It looks peaceful, calm, almost perfect. But underneath that calm, both people are slowly starving emotionally, and neither one will say a word about it. If you've ever been in a relationship that felt strangely comfortable, but also completely empty, stay with me, because what I'm about to break down is going to explain a lot. And by the end of this, something is going to click that you won't be able to unsee. When two avoidants start dating, the early stages feel genuinely amazing. Neither person is pushing for more. Nobody's blowing up anyone's phone. Nobody's asking, "Where is this going?" after 2 weeks. For someone with avoidant attachment, that feels like pure relief. No pressure, no emotional demands. It feels like finally someone who just gets it. Someone who isn't going to need constant reassurance or make them feel guilty for wanting space. And that feeling is real. Attachment research consistently finds that people with avoidant attachment tend to experience less relationship anxiety in early stages because the usual triggers simply aren't present yet. Two avoidants early on often describe it as the easiest relationship they've ever had. And they're not wrong. It is easy. At first. But that ease has a very specific expiration date. And the way it expires isn't what most people expect. It doesn't end with a blow-up or a betrayal. It ends with something much quieter and much harder to name. I'll get to exactly what that looks like shortly, because understanding it is the whole key to making sense of why these relationships fall apart the way they do. If this already sounds familiar, drop a like. We're just getting started, and it gets a lot more real from here. As the relationship moves forward, both people start waiting. Waiting for the other to reach out first. Waiting for someone to bring up the future. Waiting for someone to say, "I miss you," or "Can we talk about where we stand?" And neither person does. Not because they don't care, but because initiating vulnerability feels like handing someone a weapon pointed at you. Both partners want more connection, more depth, more realness, but neither will ask for it first. Because asking means admitting you need something. And needing something feels dangerous when your whole pattern was built around self-sufficiency. Attachment researchers Philip Shaver and Mario Mikulincer describe what they call deactivating strategies, the ways avoidant individuals suppress attachment needs to avoid the discomfort of depending on someone. Things like staying busy, minimizing the relationship's importance, or convincing themselves they're fine when they're not. In an avoidant-avoidant relationship, both partners run these strategies simultaneously, both quietly working against deeper connection without either one realizing it. Research has also found that avoidant individuals can show higher physiological stress responses during emotional tension. Things like elevated heart rate, while appearing completely calm and disengaged on the outside. They feel the distance. They just don't have the tools to close it. So from the outside, this relationship looks stable, admirable even. On the inside, both people are quietly starving for something neither will name. Hold on to this, because when we get to what finally breaks these relationships, you'll see exactly how this plays out. And it's not what most people assume. In most relationships, conflict is a sign of investment. When someone cares, they show up for the hard conversations. But when two avoidants hit a real problem, it doesn't become a fight. It becomes a wall. One person pulls back. The other notices, and instead of moving closer, they pull back too. Both interpret the withdrawal as they need space, rather than they're hurting. Nobody reaches out. Nobody names it. The silence stretches until it becomes the default setting of the entire relationship. Attachment-informed therapists often describe this pairing as one where neither person's attachment system activates strongly enough to motivate reconnection, because both partners are already suppressing those very signals. There's no pursuer, no one to break the cycle. Just two people drifting to opposite ends of the room, both quietly convinced the other is fine. Neither person is fine. And here's what really stings. By the time one of them realizes something is wrong, the emotional gap has already grown too wide to close without a vulnerable conversation that neither has learned how to have. That's the trap. And a lot of couples never find their way out. Here's what I want you to share below. Have you ever been in a relationship where the silence felt completely normal, even comfortable, until one day you realized you hadn't had a genuinely honest conversation in weeks? What did that slow realization feel like when it hit you? Drop it in the comments. Someone reading right now needs to know they're not alone in this. Eventually, something cracks. And it's almost never dramatic. One person meets someone who actually pursues them. Someone who texts first, says, "I was thinking about you," shows up without being asked. And suddenly, they feel something they hadn't felt in their current relationship in a long time. Genuinely wanted, chosen, seen. Or one of them goes through something hard. A loss, a health scare, a major life shift. They reach toward their partner for support and find no one there to catch them. Not because their partner doesn't care, but because neither of them ever built the emotional language for leaning on each other. It always felt too risky to practice, so the relationship dissolves. Not with a scene, with a slow fade. Fewer messages, shorter replies, longer gaps. Until one day, it's simply over, and neither person is quite sure when it ended. Both walk away thinking they just weren't compatible, never realizing they were both so skilled at hiding their needs that they hid them from each other the entire time. So, can this actually work? Yes, but only under one real condition. Someone has to go first. One person has to be willing to say out loud, "I feel distant from you, and I don't want that." Someone has to risk being the one who visibly cares more. Research on what psychologists call earned secure attachment, a term developed by attachment researcher Mary Main, to describe people who built more secure relationship patterns in adulthood despite insecure beginnings, consistently shows that attachment patterns are not fixed. They can shift through self-reflection or working with a qualified mental health professional. This is general information, not a substitute for professional support. But the research is genuinely encouraging. What it requires is both people being willing to name what's happening, out loud, to each other, which for two avoidants is honestly the hardest thing in the world. Because naming it means admitting you have needs. Admitting needs means being vulnerable. And vulnerability is the exact thing both of them have spent their entire lives carefully quietly avoiding. If something in this video gave you clarity, send it to someone stuck in the same cycle who doesn't have the words for it yet. You never know whose shift starts with something someone thought to share. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.